Hey, what's going on, everybody? First of all, let me apologize for last night. Erica and I were out. I had talked about that, I think, the day before, and she wanted to go to the movies and do bowling. So we decided to do that, which is why I left on the community page that there would not be a Saturday roll call. Um, you know, life happens. So that's what happened last night, with Saturday roll call. So anyway, I've gotten this question enough times now. I want to go ahead and answer it, which is pertaining to the visa situation, looking for an attorney. Well, who would I recommend? Um, the new rule changes I've gone over several times. And the number one thing that I do get, though, from some people, especially these perverts and these mongers, are you're hating, you don't want people to come to Colombia, yada, yada, yada. So, what I'm going to do today is play a video and kind of recap what this attorney. He's an attorney here in Medellin. He's American Colombian. His name is Alan Gongora, and he did a recent video on another YouTube channel. I'm gonna give the YouTuber credit as soon as I pull up his video, where he talks about the new rule changes. He talks about the different types of visas, and he talks about why the rule changes occurred and having to have a background check, having to have a medical health exam overall for your overall health, and a mental health check. And the reason why they're having a mental health check is because of veterans that come here. Okay. So I'm going to play that video today and recap it because some of you guys, you're basically wasting your money. All right. You come here, and some of you guys have been doing it on your own. You'll go to the consulate in LA or the one that's in DC. You'll apply, you'll put your money in, only to find out you've been denied, and you don't understand why you've been denied. I'm explaining it to you now. If your background is jacked up, your overall health is really bad, or you got a high mental health rating, those three things right there, you're not getting a visa, bro. It ain't happening. I don't I don't get what part of that you all are missing or don't understand. The thing that's going to kill people in the next 2 years, because this has been in the news, because I watch a lot of the news here locally. There's politicians, because there's a new mayor race coming up pretty soon, but there are politicians who want to change the way they screen at the airport for a lot of these guys. And they basically, again, are going to target veterans. They want people to do a mental health screening at the airport within the next 2 years. At least that's what they're talking about politically. So if that's you coming here, and they've already started doing random screenings, you're going to start hearing stories about people who are randomly getting turned down at the airport. They don't know why. And it's normally either their background or something in their history or something, because they're doing random screenings now, letting in people, and they're randomly checked. So don't be surprised. Do not be surprised. Let's see. Oh yeah. I see J Love just hit me up about a video I just put out, and I'm gonna show that video on here of how easy it is when gringos go to these clubs. They've been drinking a lot and they do dumb shit. They ask them to get robbed and drugged and killed in this country or in this city. But first, I want to start with the attorney, because someone asked, who do I recommend? So the lawyer I would recommend. Now, I don't know what his rates are, okay? But I do know from the people that I've talked to here, he's going to give you an honest assessment, okay? This is the lawyer's office, Langham, Colombia. This is the lawyer, Alan Gongora, and he's going to be in the video I'm going to show here shortly. Let me show you how to contact them. But this is the website right here. Let's see. We got a WhatsApp number on here. Let's see. Here's the email right here, info. You can submit an email. That's the name of the lawyer's office here in Medellin. Do they have they normally have a WhatsApp number. I guess you have to click here. So when you go to their website, you can click on to contact them through WhatsApp. but they go through it all, right? Their specialty is real estate, buying property. Okay. Because I was actually looking into purchasing a home where lawyer need to hire and make sure I understand. So this office, they speak English clearly. He's an American Colombian, so he clearly speaks English. So does a lot of people that work at that office. So you'll be able to clearly understand everything you're getting yourself involved in if you're going to buy a property. But he does all types of visas. All right. And the best thing about this office, they're going to be honest with you. They're not going to just take your money knowing you got no shot of getting a visa. They already know this. Okay. You going in with a high mental health rating, they're just going to tell you straight up, no, you're not going to be able to, you can try. They're going to tell you can try, but the likelihood is you're not going to get it. And they're going to discourage you from spending your money. Now, it's up to you. They're going to give you the option of whether or not you want to spend your money. But I'm telling you guys, there's been plenty of you all who have left comments, don't understand why you've been denied. And I have left messages repeatedly telling you all why this is happening. All right. So getting upset with me because I don't make the rules here. I can only tell you about the rules. And like this today, I'm going to have a lawyer explain the rules to you. Can you get a retirement visa in Colombia? You can get a retirement visa. And I'm getting ready to play this part, but you have to understand what you're getting. Okay. I have what's called a migrant visa, right? And it's still called a migrant visa, but the type of visa that they offer now for retirees does not lead to residency. It does not lead to citizenship. It just allows you to come into the country up to 3 years. Key word, up to 3 years, because they could give you 1 year and then you got to turn around and renew it again the next year. You may spend anywhere from $600 to $1,200 to get a 1 year visa and then turn around and do the whole thing all over again. And you may only get another 1 year visa. So understand what you're getting. It's called a visitor's visa. Matter of fact, I'm just going to play the video so you guys can hear this and understand it for yourself. All right. So I'm not just talking and people go, oh, you know what you're talking about. Okay. Well, this is from the lawyer himself telling people about this. All right. Who else we got here? What's up, Combat Survivor? So this is so you guys can understand exactly what is going on, what each one details, and there should be no more questions after this when it comes to applying and knowing what the rules are. Right here. So I want to give the YouTube channel credit. No, this is the wrong one. But this is the YouTuber who did the interview with the lawyer, the Wandering Investor, okay? Because he's basically an investor about here in Colombia, obtaining residency in Colombia, but he's going to go over all the different parts of all of the different visas, all right? Even the digital nomad visa, that if you notice, there ain't a whole lot of people out there bragging they got this visa because it wasn't as simple, and I tried to explain that before it came out. But let me get to the YouTube video and start that so people can understand what is really going on here. Okay, once again, shout out to the Wandering Investor. I want to play this video. I'm going to interrupt in different parts.
And to obtain residency in Colombia because there have been some changes that were implemented in September, correct?
Yes. So in September, new rules came into play. This is the first major change in the visa regime in Colombia for many, many years. And it was pretty drastic.
So before, specifically for real estate investors, you could obtain what was called a residency visa, which meant that if you invested approximately $160,000 plus or minus, you would get a 5-year residency visa. Now this option is gone, correct?
Gone, kaput. So, and let me back up even a little bit further. So a lot of people misuse, or at least they confuse terms. So it doesn't mean you can't come to Colombia and live in Colombia, right? Previously, under the old rules, there were 2 types of visas for people who wanted to buy property. The first type was called a migrant visa. And if you were to invest above $90,000, $95,000 this year, you could get a 3-year migrant visa. And with that visa, you can come in and out as much as you want. It's just a normal visa. You could come and live in Colombia if you wanted to. You could get a new migrant visa for another 3 years. And in year 5, you can then get residency, right? So you can still do that visa. That visa has
Okay, now this is the visa I'm on currently. I have what's called a migrant visa. My visa was renewed before these rule changes. And I remember coming on and telling you guys, if you're going to get a visa, this type of visa, which is the Retista visa, you needed to get that visa now before they made the rule changes. Because when they made the rule changes, it's no longer the time that you get now no longer counts toward your citizenship or residency. It doesn't count. You're just now labeled a visitor, meaning you're going to have to qualify for that visa every 3 years. And every couple of years, they make changes. And they're not making it easier to qualify. They're making it harder. That's why I won't buy any property here until I become a resident. Once I'm a resident, I got ties to the country. Without being a resident, I'm not buying nothing because I got no ties. Just like with this situation now, where a lot of people have this migrant visa and they bought property. Well, say you don't qualify for your next visa. That means you got a house somewhere you can't even get to but 6 months out of the year. It's like, nah, dog, I ain't doing that. That makes no sense to me. But let's continue.
Didn't change very much. It still exists. What has changed is that previously you could invest the 160 you mentioned earlier or thereabouts and get immediate residency. You could cut the line. You don't have to wait the 5 years. You can just get immediate residency, and that's gone. So if you're investing in real estate, your one go-to strategy is to now go back to the migrant visa strategy, which keeps you in Colombia. You would have to apply a couple more times, and you will eventually get official residency.
But see, that's the key word he just said. You have to keep applying, meaning you have to keep qualifying. Unlike the residency visa, you only apply one time and then you just keep renewing it. Whereas the migrant visa and the visitor's visa, you have to qualify every time you go back. So understand that just because you have it right now, when you go to apply to get it renewed, your time at that point no longer counts.
Which some people want. But in practical terms, for most investors, it really doesn't change much. You get basically the same thing you would get with the residency visa. You could come to Colombia, you can live in Colombia, you can leave and come back. There are some serious differences, but in general, for most investors,
let me tell you what those serious differences are. You only have to be in the country 1 day out of 2 years as a residency to keep it. 1 day you only need to be in the country out of every 2 years. Versus the migrant visa, you cannot be out of the country more than 6 months. If you're out of the country 1 day over 6 months, you lose all that time and you start completely over.
it's basically not a big difference.
So for wandering investors such as myself, the previous residency visa meant that I would just need to check into Colombia every 2 years for the residency to remain active. But with the migrant visa, I cannot leave Colombia for more than 6 months at a time, correct?
That's right. That's one of the biggest differences. So under the old rules, if you were to get a residency visa, you can just pop in Colombia every couple of years and you maintain your visa. With this migrant visa, now you have an obligation to come to Colombia every 6 months. It doesn't have to be for weeks. It can just be a day. It could be half a day. But technically speaking, you lose this visa if you leave Colombia more than 6 consecutive months. So again, that's a big one for some people. I have clients who have properties in Dubai, properties in Miami, properties, in other places, and they spend specific time in different places for tax reasons. So coming to Colombia for some of these clients is kind of annoying. So that's a thing for some clients. But for most of my clients, it's not a big deal because it's just, every 6 months, just pop in and you're done.
So it's possible to have the migrant visa without becoming a tax resident of Colombia.
Sure. So a lot of people confuse these two terms. So your tax situation, whether you become a tax resident, whether you need to file taxes, has absolutely nothing to do with your visa, right? You could get a residency visa, you can get a migrant visa, you can get other types of visas, and so long as you're not physically in Colombia more than 183 days within any 12-month period, you do not become a tax resident. So the visa is separate from the tax
So let me help you all
analysis that you would have to conduct to figure.
Okay, let me help you all out with something, because this is something a lot of YouTubers love to tell you guys to do without you all understanding that they're making you a tax resident. Let me explain. So you'll have a YouTuber like Life with David who will tell you, if you want to stay in Colombia for one straight year, what you do is you come toward the last 6 months, okay, from July through December. And then when the new calendar year rolls over, okay, now your new 6 months starts again. So you can stay in Colombia 1 year from July all the way through June of the next year. But did you hear what he just said? Once you're here more than 183 days, you now become a tax resident. Whereas before, with those 6 months, you're not liable for taxes. When you do what they tell you to do to stay here a year, you're not liable for taxes. And at some point, they're going to come calling. What's up, LJ? Let's see. So funny to see you dudes from the first world begging to stay. You do. I'm not begging to stay nowhere. I'm here legally to stay in third world country. Hey, people, look, I'm gonna just leave it like that. They see what they see and they stuck on that. But anyway, I just want this to be explained clearly so people can understand.
Figure out if you're either a tax resident, and if so, whether you need to file taxes.
And what is the path to citizenship on this on this migrant visa?
Right. This is the second biggest difference. And this is a big deal for some clients. Under the old rules, if you got immediate residency, you saved yourself 5 years, right? Because the migrant visa gets you residency after 5
Correct.
years. But with residency, you cut the line. You saved yourself 5 years. Once you have residency, you wait 5 years. And by the time that you can renew your visa, your residency visa, you could apply for citizenship.
Okay, so essentially before it was 5 years, path to citizenship. Now it's more like 10 years.
That's right. Now you're adding 5 years to the process of applying for citizenship and getting a new passport, for sure.
Okay, I mean, most people don't care, but for those who do care,
that's exactly right.
That's
exactly right.
And the other typical ways of obtaining a visa or residency here is through the rentista visa and also
Okay, now this is what y'all want to hear right here.
Elaborate on these two programs.
So with the new rules, there have been some serious changes. So the rentista visa, this is a visa where if you can show that you're receiving income from some source above a certain amount, I always tell clients, just plan for $2,800 US.
Okay, did you all hear that part? I want to make sure. I want to play that back. He said plan for $2,800, and that's a minimum. There's two reasons why he's telling his clients that. The first reason why he's telling them that is because in the next year to 2 years, there's a new tax that's coming on health insurance. That's going to be 30 to 35% higher than what you're already paying. That's one. The second reason is because there's going to be a new tax that is coming to foreigners in the next 2 to 3 years. If you watch any of the local news, any of the politicians, they have been talking about this for at least 4 to 5 years. Okay. That's also another change that's coming. The days of people coming here on $1,200, $1,500, unless they living with somebody that they know is giving them an apartment at a super cheap rate, there's no way you're going to be able to afford that here. No way.
That number goes up and down. That visa is no longer a migrant visa, right? That's gone. It's now, it exists. It's just now a visitor's visa. So you couldn't get a rentista visa and eventually get residency. That's not long. That's gone.
Okay, now did you all hear that part? Because I have been telling people that, and they telling me, "Oh, you hating." No, that ain't hate. This is what the rules are. Before the visa that I have right now, the visa I have right now, my time counts toward residency. After September, when this new rule was put in, anyone who has a migrant visa now who needs to renew it, okay? When you go to renew it, that time that you have is gone. It is gone. You now become a visitor, which means is I don't care how many years you here. None of that time counts toward residency. The only way now really to get a residency visa after the change is to invest in property.
So that's the first, I think, answer to your question. Now, if you're retired, if you're retiring or you're retired at this point, you could plan to apply for a retirement visa. And it's also a migrant visa. It's sort of the same category as the person who buys the property and gets a migrant visa. You get 3 years, and in 5 years you get residency. So it's the same type of thing. There's been several changes that have been affecting a lot of our retirement applicants. The first is they're more and more focused on getting a security background check. Okay? So if you're applying, they'll want to get something official from your current residency jurisdiction.
Okay, so let me help break that down for the people that don't understand that part. They want a background check. I believe it goes back 5 years from whatever country that you're residing in. So if your home of record is the United States of America, they want an FBI background check for 5 years from whatever country you live in. Now, if you've been living here in Colombia for the last 5 years, they're going to want to see a record from Colombia, which if you hadn't done anything here, there ain't nothing to see. But for anyone else, correction. If your home of record, your address, even though you may be living here like a tourist, but your home address still says the United States, they're going to want a background check from the United States. Please understand that.
That says that you're not a bad person, okay?
So just a criminal background check?
Criminal background check. Secondly, they're more and more focused on health. So you're going to have to get both a medical health certificate as well as a mental health certificate. That's becoming more and more of a thing, particularly for veterans. This is a thing.
Okay. Did you all hear that? Let me play that again.
Both a medical health certificate as well as a mental health certificate. That's becoming more and more of a thing, particularly for veterans. This is a thing. Basically, more and more, they want to ensure that the people that receive a visa, number one, can pay their way in Colombia for their own health. If someone is super unhealthy, more and more, we are concerned that they won't allow you to get a visa, particularly if you can't show a good amount of income. Because eventually, and this is in fact a fact, some of these foreigners are now becoming wards of the state, so to speak. In other words, the Colombian government has to reach into its own pocket to take care of certain people that come to Colombia because they're fairly elderly, they don't receive the income they were expecting, et cetera. So on the one hand, that's the reason they're so much focused on the health stuff. The mental health thing is more and more of a thing, right? And why is that? Because more and more people are coming to Colombia with mental health problems. And a good portion are veterans, right?
Okay. Did you guys catch that part? Okay. I just want to be 1000% clear with that. I've said this going back almost a year when I first heard about this visa situation. If you have a high mental health rating, at least because they had it in the article, I believe it was 60% or higher, if I'm not mistaken. 60% or higher. They're not going to approve you, dog. It ain't going to happen. Not going to happen. I don't care. You didn't spend $1,200. I don't care. This lawyers told you whatever. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. When it comes to the medical certificate, that's another one. And how they do it, okay? Because this is going to be a question. When it comes to your health, they're going to send a company to your house. You're going to pay for this when you go through an attorney. They're going to send someone to your house to do an overall health check. They're going to draw your blood. And then you're going to have to do a psych exam. And then when you do that psych exam, they're going to want to know. And there ain't no point in lying, dude, because the embassy is not going to lie for you. If you're a veteran, you might as well tell them you're a veteran because the government's got to confirm your ID. And I'm sure, and I know it's on my driver's license somewhere. I don't have it with me, but it says veteran. Damn near everything I have says I'm a veteran. So there's no point in lying and making up a story saying you're not a veteran. That's going to get you automatically thrown out. Some of you guys, VA is your only income source. So there's no point of lying and telling people you're not a veteran. People have tried that here. It does not work. What else we got here? Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about begging, man. I wouldn't call it friendly. I would just say it's similar to Panama, but I'm not saying it's friendly because as a veteran, I'm telling you, as a veteran, you got anything in your background, you got anything in your medical history, and especially a high mental health rating. Now, I don't know how that works with Panama. I remember Urban talking about Panama and passing a background check, that type of thing. But when it came to mental health and your overall health with Panama, I'm not too sure they're that overly concerned as they are here. And I explained the reason for that is because a lot of the veterans here do get into a lot of situations, whether it be bar fights, physical abuse with their spouse or their girlfriends. They get into a lot of different things here. And then the first thing they scream when they go to court is, well, you know, I got mental health issues, yada, 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 yada. Colombia ain't trying to hear that no more. And I did a video about this months ago, dude. The number of veterans who get arrested in this country is it's crazy. It's a crazy number. But this is not to discourage veterans from coming. This is not discouraging veterans who qualify for applying, but it's to let you guys know the truth. And you're not out there in the wind thinking you can just live here, go buy property and do all these different things when you don't even qualify to get a visa to be here. That's what this is about.
And this is a thing, you know. So if there's a veteran with a history of PTSD, mental health issues, the chances that your visa could be not approved are getting higher and higher. So, you know, that's a really big change to the retirement visa for sure.
Interesting. And the rentista visa essentially is useless nowadays.
Useless. Well, it's not useless. It's useless to the extent that someone wants to get eventual residency. Okay.
I mean, people are just better off putting 95K.
That's exactly right. So if you qualify for a rentista visa because you receive a good amount of income every month.
Yeah. Just buy real estate.
Just buy real estate,
yeah.
Because it's just a much better visa. You could conceivably just get a visitor's visa and just stay in Colombia as long as you want, but you will never get residency. It's not as good of a visa as getting a migrant visa by far. So between those two, it's not even close. If I have the cash, I'll just buy property for sure.
And for example, if I were to come here and have a child here, would this entitle me to residency or a migrant visa?
So under the old rules, if I were the parent of a Colombian national, in other words, my child was born in Colombia, I could apply for residency. Not anymore. Okay. I could apply for a migrant visa, which will eventually get me residency. Okay. That's another big change of the rules for sure.
And if someone marries a Colombian?
So this is the most interesting change to the rules. And just hear me out. You ready? So under the old rules, there were two ways. Well, there were different ways to get married in Colombia, but the two primary ones were just a regular civil marriage. You know, there are versions of this. There's a ceremony. There's an administrative law judge or a notary that certifies that you're married, etc. And that process is a little bit annoying because to get it.
Okay. I don't think he's going to go too deep into this, but for those of you who are just thinking about going and marrying in Colombia, let me say this. It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. It is nothing like in the United States of America. Those of you who've been married in the States before, it's not like that. Okay. As a foreigner, if you're going to get married, you have to get basically all of your vital statistic numbers, and then you got to get them notarized here, and then they got to be transferred from English to Spanish. It is a process to get married in this country. Okay, it ain't like you just drive to Vegas, boom, you married, you up out of it. You paid a little money and you marry, you up out of it. Now, here it's a process. Even the Colombian woman or the Colombian man you getting ready to marry, they got a ton of paperwork to do. Okay, if they got kids, there's even more paperwork they got to do. If you were married before, you got to get a piece of paper that says you're single. You got to get your divorce decree. Man, it is some work. Okay, that's why for us, me and Eric, much better off dealing with an attorney. If I ever get to that point, we want to get married, we're going to an attorney, because you trying to do it on your own, and I'm not saying you can't do it on your own. You can definitely do it on your own, but man, it is tedious. That's a lot of work. Just telling you that up front. It's a lot of work. What's the workaround? There is no workaround. That's what bro. See, this is the part that a lot of y'all try to come up with. And I'm just saying this frankly, not trying to disrespect y'all, but these are hood ways y'all try to come up with shit. There ain't no workaround, dude. If you got a high mental health rating, how you gonna work around that? That's gonna be my question to you. How are you gonna work around that? Because I'm telling you, the embassy is not gonna lie for you. That's not gonna happen. You think the VA is gonna tell them you really 100, but they're gonna say, oh no, he's 50%. They're not gonna lie for you either. You're going to have a doctor sign off, and then you're going to have a mental health doctor sign off. You think a mental health doctor is going to take responsibility for a veteran that could come here and lose their mind? No, they ain't doing that. Because not only are they going to go after you, they're going to go after the doctor that signed off on it. So there's no workaround, bro. There is none. There's a separate company that comes to your house that does the evaluation, that does the blood drawing, and they're going to give you a psych exam. And that's it. That is it. There is no, well, man, how can I get around? Who can I pay? I don't know. But there's been plenty of you all who have tried and have failed miserably. And here's the thing, when you fail, when you apply and you get denied, you got 30 days to get out. They're going to put it in a letter. You got 30 days after you're denied to go. Even if you just got here, you didn't pay for 6 months in advance. When you apply, you denied, you got to go 30 days later. They're going to send it right to you. What's up, Mr. B? How you doing? Yeah, y'all got to stop. There ain't no workaround, dude. And this ain't going to be the only country that do this. You might as well get rid, because this is going to spread. This is not going to be the only country, because as veterans, and I hate to put my fellow veterans, male and females, in this category, but you got to understand, a lot of these cats come to these countries that should not be traveling. A lot of these cats come, they're alcoholics, they're abusers, they're on heavy drugs. And what do when they get to these countries that have like open sources where they can just get to this stuff? They act a damn fool. Why you think they implemented this rule here? And as they move to these other countries and they get themselves in legal trouble in these other countries, what do you think is going to happen in these other countries? The exact same thing. These countries don't want to have these burdens for these guys acting crazy in their country, dude. They're not
done. You require a lot of documents to be issued abroad. You need to get a birth certificate. You need to get a certificate of being single. You need to get, divorce decrees. It gets complicated, right? But once, after 6 weeks, 2 months that you kind of do a lot of, walking around, getting all these documents together, then you can apply, and the process is pretty explanatory, pretty straightforward. But it's annoying. The other way previously was what's called a common law marriage. So basically, it's just what it means. Basically, I'm not married, and I love that our viewers are looking at my cat going behind me, but I'm not married, but I'm living with someone, right? And because I'm living with someone, I am declaring that I'm in a common law marriage with that person. That marital relationship, to get that certified, very simple. All you need is your passport. That's it.
But massive risk in terms of asset protection.
Well, under either scenario, we always recommend that people execute a prenuptial agreement, a very simple document that certifies that no marital property is being.
Okay, let me stop right here and talk to these hood dudes once again. You know how y'all hood dudes like to just go do shit, leave, not think about it. Colombia is one of these countries, bro. Let's say you have a child with a Colombian woman. Let's say y'all get a divorce and you got a child here and you on child support. Now remember, you've already shown the Colombian government how much money you get in order for you to get a visa here. So they know you got money. So you know how the dude in the States will just pick up, take off, and just try to hide. You will hide for a little while till they get a hold of you. Because you got to remember, they have extradition treaties between the U.S. and Colombia. Take your ass off and not pay for that child and see what happens. And your name is on the birth certificate. See what happens to you. Okay? Do that kind of hood shit, because hood people, y'all need to understand what you're doing when y'all come to this country. I can't speak for every country, but I can damn sure speak for this one. In this one, they don't play that. They don't pay that. If you overseas, you come in, you have a child, you started out taking care of that child, your name on the birth certificate, and you just take off like y'all, some of y'all doing some of these other countries like the Philippines and Thailand. Y'all just have babies everywhere and just leave them there. This is one of them countries. Now, you ain't doing that, dog. They ain't playing that game. They gonna come get you. And you ain't gonna like it when you sit up in a Colombian jail. This ain't one of those countries. If you have a high PTSD rating, it's a no-go. Just pick a country in the Caribbean, Central America, South America, go to like Belize and others. It's a big, beautiful world. Yeah, Colombia ain't the only option out there. But Mr. Wayne, like I said, this is going to spread because, okay, the ones who don't qualify to live here, they're going to go somewhere else. The vast majority, unfortunately, are going to do what when they go to these other places? They're going to act a damn fool. That's what they're going to do. And then what is it going to force other countries to do? The exact same thing Colombia is doing right now. That's the unfortunate truth, but it's coming. You know, there's a large portion of them that can still come here for 6 months out of the year. And the ones who come here for 6 months out of the year, dude, let me show you something. Let me show y'all something. I just put this in the group page. Let me take this off because I pretty much got what I needed y'all to hear from this for these people out there who think, well, you just saying is you don't know. This is straight from a lawyer's office. Straight from a lawyer. Okay. Let me show y'all something. This is an American in a club in Parque Yeres tossing money. Okay. Just randomly in a nightclub tossing money. Now, if y'all act now he's acting like that in Parque, just tossing 50 mil peso in the air. Okay. And what? He don't think somebody gonna follow him home? He don't think somebody gonna be scoping him out the whole time he there? Because if he got money to just throw in the air like that, what do you all think? You think people just gonna leave him alone and just let him quietly go back to his place? No, this is the behavior that a lot of Americans do. Now, I shouldn't say a lot, that some Americans have, whether in this country or other countries. This is what they do. This is what draws unwanted attention to a lot of people. This is the kind of behavior that they have. This is why they put these rules in place. And it's unfortunate, okay? Because not every person who comes act this way. But it's the people that act like this that make the news. So they think when they see a foreigner go in a club, he's going to do this. This is what he's going to display. But at some point, man, people going to have to wake up. Y'all going to have to wake up. You know, there is no workaround. There's other places you can go. You can come here and visit for 6 months until they implement this rule with the background check, and that's coming out slowly. And there's videos already where people are complaining they can't enter Colombia, and they don't know why, because they're doing random background checks. All this is coming, man, and it's going to spread. As people come and they act a damn fool, this is what's going to happen. Congressman stole some money from Colombia He is New York, a congressman, and they already making him pay the money back. Oh, you're talking about in Brazil. You're talking about George Soros. Yeah, that's Brazil. That guy's a alleged drag queen. Yeah, that's George Soros. He stole money. He stole a check or something like that in Brazil years ago, and they're making him pay that money back. So yeah, that's George Soros. Oh yeah, they're tightening it up, and it's C-O-L. I'm sorry, Colombia. The Colombia you're referring to is like Kansas or somewhere like that. Colombia is with two O's. People here, boy, they go crazy. They see you spelling a country name like that. They'll go crazy. But anyway, though, I wanted to make this video to be absolutely clear. I'm going to show the lawyer's office one more time so you guys can see it and know where you can go and talk to somebody who's actually going to tell you the truth, not somebody who just want to collect money knowing you got no shot in hell of getting a visa. Okay? It's Langham Law Firm. The guy's name is Alan Gongora. He's an American Colombian lawyer. Let me see if I can put this link in the chat real quick. Copy. Let me go here to the stream. I'll try to put it right here in the stream. It'll take, yeah. So it's right here in the stream. The lawyer's office is right here. I know, look, I've seen this guy on enough YouTube channels, and I actually contacted his office because I had told him I had planned on buying a property using my VA SHA grant when I do it. And he made the suggestion, just like the person that I talked to you guys about before, who said you should buy a single, what do you call it? The house that's not like a townhouse or apartment, just freestanding house. You should buy that type of house. That way you're not worried about an HOA or, you moving walls around and different things like that, because you can do whatever with a house, even if you got to remodel the entire house, versus you move into a condo or you moving into a apartment. There's only so much you can do because the space you in, and it's an HOA there. So I'm actually looking in the Llano Grande area for a house, and especially knowing that with the SHA grant that I can use it here. Oh yeah. So I'm definitely looking at that, but I'm not looking at doing anything until I get residency, because once again, with a migrant visa, the type of visa I have, which is gone away with now, but you got to qualify for that every year. And who's to say that the next president that comes in, by the time you get ready to qualify for that or get ready to apply for that, they don't change the rules again and make it even more strenuous than it was before. Now you stuck. Now I got a house. I either got to try to rent out. I can only come to part-time, but I can't come home when I want to come home. I got to stay somewhere else for at least 6 months out of the year, and then I can come back. I don't know how people do that. I don't know how y'all do that, especially with something that's mine. It's like I can only get to it when they allow me to get to it. That's like, no. So that's why I personally want ties to the country. I don't want to be, okay, all my stuff is here. I need to grab something, but I gotta wait till January of next year before I can get to it. It's like, no, dog, that I might as well not even have it at that point. But that's the lawyer's office, man. Not trying to promote or just whatever, but I'm just trying to give information. People ask, I'm trying to give you information. Hopefully you watched this video, you heard what was said, especially when it came to vets, when it came to mental health, when it came to your overall health. Okay, that's real. Okay, that is real. That's as real as it get. And then background check. Your background fucked up. Hey, it is what it is. You just got out of prison for whatever. You dealing with drugs or whatever. Hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But there are other countries out there. Colombia is not the only country if you fall into that situation. As a matter of fact, That's why some of the guys who were here left and went to Costa Rica. That's the real reason why they left. It had nothing to do with anything else other than they knew with their high mental health rating, they were never going to pass a background check or pass the mental health part here. So they went to Costa Rica. Some went to the Dominican Republic. Some went to Panama, the ones who could get into Panama. But just do your research, man. When you guys are going to these countries, please understand what the rules are in these countries. Understand what the tax laws are in these countries. Does the U.S. have tax agreements with all these different countries? In Colombia, there's none. There's absolutely none. It's not like, for example, when people ask me about that, I tell them either Mexico or the Dominican Republic, especially with the DR. Because with the DR, bro, you can buy property all day. You ain't paying no taxes. You ain't paying nothing. Where here, you paying taxes. They want to see your taxable income after you've been here 183 days. DR, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. Matter of fact, in the DR, they don't even give a damn whether you got residency, you got anything. The Dominican Republic, that don't matter. It doesn't matter. You can stay there for the next 20 years as a tourist, just pay your fine, go out the country, and you can come right back in. They can care less. Here, totally different story. You overstay your visa now, I think it's like $200 and some a month for every month you over, right? And they could ban you from coming back in the country. So you just got to know the rules in the country that you're going to. I'm going to try to have my man Bobby D on. Bobby D left the Philippines, which I was shocked about that. He's now in Georgia, in Estados Unidos. And I'm going to try to get him on, man, just to talk a little bit about his experience in the Philippines and his move. And then I'm going to try to get another guy on that you guys know pretty well on the channel. He's in another country. He's over in the East as well. And let him speak on a little bit about Thailand and the visa situation in Thailand. How different is it from the visa situation in the Philippines? And I'll have Bobby D explain that as well. But the visa situation here, man, you know, even though I have less than a year to apply for my residency visa, there could be another change in between that time and the time I get ready to apply. And who knows what the situation is going to be at that point, which is why I always tell you guys when y'all talking about buying property, but does it lead you to residency or citizenship? Because if it isn't leading to those two, what are we talking about here? Because the government makes a change and now you stuck. What can you do? You stuck. So please be careful out there when y'all talking about living somewhere, buying property, you know, like the Philippines. You can't own land in a lot of these countries. Some of these countries, like here, they want your money, but they can change the rules on you. Philippines, you know, you see a lot of these guys, man, and I may do a video on this at some point and talk to Bobby D about it, where a lot of these guys, they go over there, they marry a Filipina, she ends up leaving them and taking everything they got. They on the streets, homeless, begging, literally took their life savings, poured it into a house. Their name is on nothing. And she controls everything. Yeah, there's no way I could do that, man. I would have to be hallucinating or something for me to sign over everything I have to somebody, and I have no control over. I get no say so. Never don't do something like that. That is insane to me. But there are people who go over and do it every single day, every day. So it is what it is, guys. But let's see. Don't know if I would buy it, though, if it wasn't at least a permanent resident. And that's what I'm saying, bro. There's a lot of people here, unfortunately, right now that bought and they can't even stay here. They got to wait. Like if they come, say they came in January and they were here all the way till now, like it's about to be April, and then they leave. Well, they only got 2 more months. They can come back for the year. They can't even stay in their own house the rest of the year. Let's see. Have to have a 20-year. What do you mean by 20-year? Lease with wife? What 20-year? In the Philippines? Mm-mm. Man, y'all better go read the rules about the Philippines. Ain't nothing in the Philippines in a foreigner's favor. Nothing. Everything, every law there, everything is in their favor. Not the tourist, not the foreigner. Nothing there is in your favor. Nothing. Renting is a good thing. Yeah, for some people, but some people want to own. I mean, I wouldn't mind owning something, especially at the current exchange rate. I wouldn't mind owning a property, but I'm not going to do it until I have status in the country, right? You know, like in the Philippines. I don't know if they're ever going to change the rules in the Philippines when it comes to the visa situation, because I know in the Philippines, you can stay 3 years, leave one day, come right back and stay another 3 years, right? And there's people who don't have anything other than that. They just on a tourist visa for 3 years. They pay. There's a couple of little procedures you got to go through. You got to get this one card. I forgot what it's called. But essentially, you can stay there 3 years, leave one day, come back another 3 years. There's people that do that all the time. But here it's just different. You know, after 6 months, you ain't got a visa, you're supposed to be gone. And now they hitting people with these big ass fines to discourage them from overstaying. Where unlike the Dominican Republic, they don't give a damn. They got the overstay fees printed at the airport, so you can clearly see it. If you just wanted to stay 5 years or 10 years, whatever it is, right? And it's very affordable overstay fees. It's not like, you know, they charging you thousands of dollars because you're in the country illegally. There's cats over there. They ain't got no damn citizenship, residence, nothing. They ain't got a damn thing. They just over there, right? They just over there. Overstay, no problem. You want to pay, what was it? I think I used to overstay 3 months at a time. And I think it was like maybe $110 you pay, you leave, and you turn right around, come right back. They didn't care. They were collecting money. But every country isn't like that. You know, I'm actually looking at Argentina and I'm looking at Peru. You know, I'm waiting to see what happens with Peru, if any more of that craziness is going to jump off with Lima, Peru. But Argentina is a real possibility because of the exchange rate, because of all the money they offer for the dollar. They have the blue rate and they have the black rate. So I'm not going to try to do the Western Union thing with the dollars. I don't want to deal with cash. I'm gonna try to do the blue, what do they call it? The blue rate with the credit cards. I'm not gonna mess with Western Union and all those. So what else we got here? Then I'm gonna get off, man. I've been on almost an hour. Let's see. How is the pathway for residency and citizenship for the it's easy. You just gotta spend some money. You gotta, well, first of all, you gotta find a lawyer you can trust. That's the biggest factor in the DR dealing with anything, is just finding somebody you can trust. That's the biggest hurdle you got in the Dominican Republic when it comes to property and when it comes to a lawyer. Find someone who is highly recommended, okay? Don't just, if some realtor there is like, oh yeah, I know a lawyer, check your own sources. You know, get somebody who has a really good reputation. Other than that, though, it's not that hard. It's not that hard at all. Yep, overstaying the DR is no big hassle. No, overstaying in the DR is almost like it's encouraged. They don't. It's not like, you know, they put something in your passport that you overstayed, or it's looked on, it's frowned upon, you coming in and out because you over. No, you paid your fine. Okay, cool. See you next time. That's it. What is the blue? Oh, that's in Argentina. So in Argentina, the peso. So the peso, they have it's kind of weird to explain. I put an article in the community page, but they have different rates for the American dollar. So when you go to like an exchange rate, there's a rate there that it shows for the dollar, right? Well, they also have the black market rate and the blue market rate. So when you're actually there, if you send yourself money through Western Union, you'll get a much higher rate than the actual rate shown on the exchange rate. And it works the same way with a credit card, with a debit card. At certain ATMs in Argentina and Buenos Aires, you'll get a different rate, a much higher rate than you would get if you just went to just a normal bank. This has been all over the internet for a while. I remember Urban talked about this maybe 8 months ago. And I read an article on this, and I actually talked to someone who was there, and he was telling me which banks you need to go to in order to get a better rate than what the rate is for the normal exchange rate. So that's what it is. It's a blue rate, and then there's a black rate. Let's see. They get those extra exit fees paid. Yeah, it's almost like it's encouraged. That nobody, bro, in the DR, I have never had someone look at me sideways. Like when you go pay, okay, so the process, at least the way I remember the process, when you overstay, you go through, right? You get checked and everything. And then you got to fill out this form. And before you can go to that last window for them to check your passport to get out, when you overstay, you got to go to this window and pay your overstay fee. They look at it and they tell you, okay, you need to pay us $110 or $120 or whatever it was. And yeah, I used to just pay it with my debit card. Boom. They give you this little stamp on a receipt stamp. You take it to that last window and you just walk on through and go to your whatever airport you're flying. I mean, whatever airline you're flying out of. And that's it. Nobody says nothing. Here is a whole different process. Here, you overstay, you need to go early. If you know you screwed up here, you need to go to the airport early and have some money with you or have access to money if you want to pay right then and there. Because what's different, Howard, here is they'll let you leave here, where in the DR, I don't know if they'll let you leave if you don't pay that fine. I don't think you can leave until you pay that fine, if I'm not mistaken. I believe in the DR, you have to pay that fine first before they let you leave. But here in Colombia, they'll let you leave. But when you come back, you ain't coming back in the country till you pay that fine. You ain't getting back in till you pay that fine. Yep, that's exactly how my exit process was. Quick and yeah. But I don't think, how do they let you leave if you don't have the money to pay that fine? I don't believe they do. If I remember correctly, when you go to that window, yeah, that's your ticket to get out. If you don't have money to pay that window, I don't think they let you leave. Yeah, DR want that money pronto. Yeah, I don't think they let you leave. I think that part's different than here. Here in Colombia, you can leave. You can have a fine and they'll let you leave. But coming back, yeah, you got to pay that before they let you back in. Let's see. Now ninjas ain't leaving here without paying. Yeah, so if you're gonna be in the DR more than 30 days, have some extra money with you, because they're gonna hit you with that overstay fee. That's for sure. That is for sure. Because I remember that now, man, going through the airport line, you fill out that form and you go to that window to pay your overstay fee, and then you go to that last window to leave. Yeah, that's how that went. Yeah, you got to pay that fine. All right, guys, that's it, man. Hopefully you guys learned something from this. Anyone who's watching it after this, it ain't me. These are what the rules are. You heard come directly from a lawyer, high mental health ratings, medical checks, background checks, all that stuff. It is what it is. All right, guys. So that's going to be it, man. Hey, I appreciate everybody watching as always. And until the next time, guys, I am out. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your day.